Rock and Block, la casa del rock y el metal. Siempre con los mejores contenidos en entrevistas, reportajes, charlas, concursos y un montón de sorpresas para ti, amante del rock. Hoy en Rock and Block Friends presentamos
Michael Schenker con David Medrano.
Muy buenas a todos, amigos de Rock and Block, y bienvenidos a una de nuestras nuevas entrevistas, en este caso con un músico a nivel internacional. Su nombre es Michael Schenker, muchos de vosotros ya le conoceréis, por lo que no necesita una introducción muy alargada. Ha sido guitarrista de Scorpions, de UFO, hasta que en el año 1979 pues formó su propio grupo y desde ahí ya despegó su carrera musical personal, que se llamó Michael Schenker Group. Con esta agrupación ha estado pues, hasta hoy en día, y ahora, después de haber sacado 2 álbumes bajo el nombre de Michael Schenker Fest, pues ha vuelto a sus raíces, ¿no? Ha vuelto a Michael Schenker Group. Ha sacado un disco que se llama Immortal hace poquito. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for the release of your new album, which has been one of the best things that has happened us in the last year due to COVID. How are you dealing with this situation?
Well, you know, it's a shock for everybody.
Yes.
You know, and it basically, you know, I live in the now. I deal with everything that happens today and make the best out of it.
Yes.
And that's how I got.
I think, okay. So the new album is being sold since last week. How has it been received by your followers?
This album is a gift from heaven. You know,
Yes.
I see it as a present, you know, telling me, Michael, this is what we give you for staying true to yourself for 50 years and not selling out. And be yourself and inject and help new generations to create new schools for music, generation after generation, which I found out when I was speaking to Kirk Hammett. All happened later in my life, you know, because I'm the kid in the sandbox. I just have fun, play and discover. I don't compete. I don't look for fame. I don't look for success. I don't look for anything. I just am happy to go to the inner spring of infinite creativity. I'm an artist, and that's where my life comes from.
Yeah, I understand you. And so, talking about Immortal, what does this name mean?
That title came from Nuclear Blast. And Nuclear Blast are Michael Schenker fans. And 80% of the musicians in Nuclear Blast are Michael Schenker fans. And Marco Steiger, the boss of Nuclear Blast, told me one day, Michael, if you wouldn't have been, he would have never been. And Nuclear Blast would have never been. And he would have never been a thrash metal fan because I created thrash metal, he said to me. I said, what? I was shocked, you know. And Australia I've never been to Australia, and I'm doing dozens of interviews with Australia all of a sudden. And journalists are telling me, Michael, if you wouldn't have been, thrash metal, death metal, and all of these metals would have never been. Dave Mustaine, Kirk Hammett, you know,
Yes.
all these guys that I discovered later were fans of mine that I never knew before until later in life. They told me the same thing. Kirk Hammett told me, Michael, when you did the Lone Scorpions album, what you played, I had never heard before. it was absolutely amazing for him. And Dave Mustaine said the same thing. He said, like, when he heard Phenomenon UFO, what I did on the lead guitar, he was blown away. He never heard anything like that. And so, I guess over the years, I had that impact.
Yes. Okay. So that's really shocked for you. Well, there are many musicians
Oh,
that
and by the way,
yes.
the immortal title came from Nuclear Blast because they are Michael Schenker fans and they are music consumers and they're in the business and they have followed me for all my career and they see it as Michael Schenker Immortal and they came up with the title.
Okay. So that's really shocked. There are many musicians that have appeared in this album. For example, Ronnie Romero, that we had already interviewed him. What has he contributed to the album?
Oh, Ronnie is fantastic. Fantastic.
And
What
what?
else can I say?
Now, why did you choose him to sing some song?
Oh, because it's a long story actually. In 2019, when I discovered that my 50th anniversary was coming up, um, I wanted to celebrate Michael Schenker's 50th anniversary with the musicians, fans, and friends. And it was dragging on, dragging on. For me, the 50th anniversary starts when I put the first note as a 15-year-old on the Lonesome Crow Scorpions album. That's for me the beginning. And because it's so hard to put musicians, fans, and friends together from all over the world, I felt like I lost the timing of the 2020 release. Then my agent told me, but Michael, the album came out, Lonesome Crow Scorpions album came out in 72. So I said, so I've got 2 years to get this together. And so I had hope again and didn't give up. But this time I decided, Michael, let's just make it a humble 50th anniversary with a compact band. So I asked Ronnie Romero, who was already singing on We Are the Boys, and I knew he was a great singer, and I asked him, would you want to sing all of these, the whole album? And he said yes. And then we had Bodo Shop on board already, great drummer, and we had Steve Mann, a keyboard. I did all the guitars purposely myself to keep it as much Michael Schenker as possible and guitar oriented. And I asked Steve Mann if he can just put a little bit of sprinkles of keyboards, but not make it too obvious. And then Barry Sparks kept emailing me, Michael, I want to be your bass player. I said, yes, you got it. And so I had a band together. And so I went to the Metal Cruise, the 70,000 tons of Metal Cruise, and in early 2020. And when I came back to the hotel in Miami, I spent 4 days, started writing. Then I went to the UK where I live and carried on writing. And then I was ready to go. And then I saw on TV that there was a problem, the virus. So I checked my route. I usually go by car. I go via Eurochannel, France, Belgium, Holland, and then make it to Michael Voss, my co-producer, his recording studio. Ronnie was ready to sing the whole album. And so I had a compact band together, and I had to find a different direction to make my way to Germany because of the virus, and all the borders were blocked. And so we found a way going from Harwich to Hook of Holland, 7 days on the boat sleeping, and then made it to the studio in Germany and put down my written compositions. And then it was time for Ronnie to sing. And we called him up and asked, Ronnie, are you ready? And he said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. All the borders are blocked. I think he lives in Bulgaria. I can't go on 14 days quarantine. And I can't afford this. And okay, don't worry about it. Oh, by the way, I had to go to Germany 4 times. And every time I came back, I had to go on 14 days quarantine. A total of 42 days. Not in one go, but it was pretty heavy. But it was the 50th anniversary of Michael Schenker, so
Yes.
I happily sacrificed. And so Ronnie wasn't available, and so I asked Amy, my partner. She's a bass player, and she's got a very good taste, and she's a music consumer. And I don't listen to music for 50 years, so I don't know what's out there. I asked her, we are stuck with Ronnie. Do you have an idea for a singer? And she said, Ralph Shippers. I said, okay. I said to Michael Voss, hey, what do you think of Ralph Shippers? Absolutely. And the next day, they were recording. Then they recorded another song. So that was 2 songs less for Ronnie Romero. Then Brian Tichy calls up, and one of the best drummers in the world, Black Sabbath and Whitesnake and so on. He's a Michael Schenker fan, and he said, I heard about the 50th anniversary. I want to make a contribution. I offer 6 drum tracks. I said, what? That is unbelievable. And then minutes later, he calls back and said, a buddy of mine, Derek Sheranian from Dream Theater, he also is a fan, and he wants to make a contribution. I said to Michael Voss, what are we going to do with a heavy-duty keyboard player like Derek? He's a top 10 in the world, And Michael said, why don't you do a guitar keyboard jam? I said, guitar keyboard jam? I've never done that before. And he said, well, maybe it would be great to do something fresh for the fans and for the 50th anniversary. It would be fantastic. I said, you mean like John Lord and Richie Blackmore? He said, something like that. I said, I'm getting excited. Maybe that would be an incredible idea. And so when I heard the outcome, I was absolutely shocked. Hearing Ralph Shepard's voice, I didn't know there was a voice like that on this planet. It was unbelievable. And when I heard the Brian Tichy playing the drums and then the guitar keyboard jam, I was over the moon. I was so happy. I mean, and the song became True to Kill. I mean, fantastic, And so we called Ronnie again. Ronnie, are you ready? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still blocked. I can't go. 14 days quarantine. I can't do this. Okay, don't worry, Ronnie. We call you back. And so I asked Michael first, well, what shall we do? We're stuck. He said, what do you think of Julian Turner? Julian Turner? He's one of my favorites. He's a fan. I'm a fan. Do you have a connection? He said, absolutely. And the next day, they were recording and recorded another song. That was 4 songs less for Ronnie. Then I came back in the morning. I did a power ballad. In my compositions, there was a power ballad. I've never done a power ballad like that before. I don't know where it came from. It just showed up. And Michael Voss, he's, of course, my co-producer, and he always makes a beat plan for vocalists, just in case they get stuck with melodies and lyrics. And so he said to me, Michael, this is what I did last night to your power ballad. I said, Michael Voss, this is so beautiful. Only you can sing this. And there was another song, which was The Queen of Thorns and Roses, which was an unusual song. And what he was singing to it was so perfect. I said, Michael, you have to sing those 2 songs. That's it.
Yeah.
And that was 6 songs left for Ronnie Romero. And then finally, Ronnie was ready. And of course, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
The Night of the Dead and the Sail the Darkness, Come On Over, In Search of the Peace of Mind. And then there's also a bonus track, number 11. I don't think anybody has heard that yet. We're going to use that, which was also sung by Ronnie Romero and drums by Brian Tichy, and we use it for a tour promotion or single together, to announce the upcoming tour, and so then it came to In Search of the Peace of Mind, which became a very important song because I was 15 when I first put the first note on the recording, and it was the first ever written piece of music I ever wrote. And in my mother's kitchen, there was nobody there. The Scorpions credited themselves, with no rights. And Michael Voss actually sent me the original credits of the Lonesome Cold Scorpions album, and it says lyrics by Michael Schenker and lyrics by Rudolf Schenker. I mean, we had zero knowledge of English. How could we have written any lyrics? Complete misinformation. I should have said Michael Schenker music and lyrics by whoever. Then the album was called, then the song was called In Search of the Peace of Mind, which became the theme of my life, looking for contentment, fulfillment, peace, and freedom, and so on. And then on top, there was a solo on there that was so perfect. I would never change in 1,000 years. I was only 15 years old. How could I play a perfect lead break like this? You can hear on the rest of the Lonesome Cold Scorpions album that I'm an amateur, I'm a kid, I'm 50 years old, I am developing, and where did this lead break come from that was so perfect?
Yeah,
for my very first note on a record, I was
amazing.
absolutely, it is amazing because today it is still amazing. And it will be in 1,000 years because it is time for, it's like or the theme of the imaginary Western. I would never change a note forever, And so it for these reasons, it became a very, very important song to re-record and make it an epic. And so I put on the end a lot of guitar, using the howler, the wah pedal, and the deep, low bending strings, and and lots of emotions, and so when I listened back to it, I was like, it sounded like an inner conversation. Like we all have inner conversations. Like, should I go this way or that way? Should I sell out? Should I go this way? Whatever, that brings us to where we are at today. And but when I listened to that, it sounded like 2 guitars having an inner conversation. Like question and answer, expressing my 50 years journey. And, and I could not believe how that happened.
That's madness. That's really madness.
It is just as unbelievable as the first lead break I put on, as a 15-year-old. So it's almost like a complete cycle, and I thank heaven for this because. What I wanted to do, celebrate with musicians and friends and fans, which didn't happen, and then put together a compact band with having Ronnie singing all the songs. Then the virus came up and redirected everything, and then all of a sudden everything came back to how I wanted it, but so much better. I could have never done that for myself, so I can only say. Thank you, heaven, for giving me this. And to me, it feels like, Michael, this is a gift for you for, staying true to yourself for 50 years and not selling out, I had to say no to Ozzy Osbourne. I'm an Ozzy Osbourne fan. but I had to decline. I had Phil Lynott, Deep Purple, Whitesnake, and all of these people asking me to,
Yeah.
join them. But I had a vision in my middle years as an artist to experiment with acoustic instrumental, electric instrumental, and cover versions with great musicians. I could have never done that with Ozzy or Deep Purple, Scorpions, UFO, or anybody, And so that became a very important part of my life. That was the middle years, which gave me the fulfillment as an artist. And then in 2008, I became 16, 18, 20 years old again. And I came back to the roots. And from then on, I just went all the way. I mean, bang, 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 bang. Light speed development, back to the, and then I had the Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock and then Michael Schenker Fest. And people asked me, like, well, why all these different titles? And, it's subtitles, it's everything is Michael Schenker Group because everything starts with Michael Schenker. And so, but it helps me, it helps the fans to understand
It's like
that
a different period, no? It's like a different period in your life, maybe.
Yeah, it shows you that Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock is with Herman Rebel and Francis Buchholz from the Scorpions and Dougie White from Rainbow, and Michael Schenker Fest is with the original 80 singers of Michael Schenker singing to my original compositions. So it's all categorized. Even the Corley Schenker Group was Michael Schenker Group, but I gave Robin the M to keep the MSG, and I didn't care if I had the first M or not. It didn't matter to me. But, even that was Michael Schenker Group, and so it is all, it always starts with coming from my inner spring of creativity, and purposely, I had to do it that way because I wanted to be Michael Schenker, not somebody else. Jeff Beck is already doing what he is doing. Why should I do what he is doing? So
wanted to do like something like different, no? Something different. You wanted to stand out.
I wanted to be me. I had no expectation. I had no, some people don't have the confidence to do that. Everybody can go to the inner self and create their own expression. You can do it. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
But some people don't have the confidence to get, if they are addicted to the fascination of fame and money, etc., etc. They rather follow the stereotype trend where the money is and make it quick. And because some people think they don't have the confidence that they think that what they think is worth, that the people would like it. But I never thought of that. I never thought of if people would like it or not. I just wanted self-express.
Yeah. Okay. That's what everybody must do. So here in Spain, heavy metal is not as important as it used to be. How significant is heavy metal in Germany nowadays?
Well, I don't follow the, I don't listen to music for 50 years, so I have never known what's out there. So I only have the TV on, the news, so I understand if there is some problems coming up. But, I keep fresh by not consuming. I'm a creator. I don't want to be overexposed by too much music from others and influenced. And so I go to the inner spring of creativity and develop, something that I believe in.
Yeah. And so I have like a question that is a little strange, but that's okay. Do you think you would be able to play without your flying V?
Of course, but the flying V came to me. And the flying V, everything in my life is based on circumstances. Everything just happens on a daily basis. I live in the now. I deal with today. I don't know if I'm still alive tomorrow. So there's no point making too many plans in the future. And so I deal with today. And the Flying V showed up one day, and immediately when I put it on, I had to play it because my Les Paul was locked up in a place, and we had a Scorpions show, and so I had to play a Flying V. That was the only guitar available. And the moment I put it on, I put it between my legs straight away, and I discovered a heavy vibrator, and I went like, wow. And the sound was great, and I went like, man, this is a development, you know. And so if it works, don't fix it. And I just, you know, it just became part of me. And then I had this crooked position because putting it between my legs. People used to say, Michael, you look like you're going to the toilet. and you know, and so it became my icon. I mean, I didn't do that on purpose. It was just all based on circumstances. Some people think that I did it, you know, to look like that. But I didn't even know I looked like that. I just did it because I had a reason to do it.
Yeah. Okay. And so I suppose that as soon as you can go on tour, you will come to Spain. What memories do you have from our country?
Fantastic. Ole, 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 ole.
That's okay because we like heavy metal. We have always liked heavy metal, but nowadays, unluckily for us, there is like a growing tendency of reggaeton and this type of music. But okay, we are
Well,
like
you
the
know,
resistance.
I mean, metal music today, sometimes, you know, I go to a boutique trying on clothes and people play music, and I hear, that's how I discovered Metallica, The Unforgiven, beautiful song.
Yeah,
And so sometimes you just can't run away from something that is exceptional, or you go to a hairdresser and people play music. You know, that's how I discovered Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson, fantastic singer.
yeah.
And you know, and so once in a while I get little glimpses of bits and pieces, you know. But what was the question?
No, it was just a reflection that nowadays is like a growing tendency of
Oh yeah,
reggaeton and this
yeah,
type
yeah,
of music.
yeah. And so sometimes I hear in those circumstances when I am not choosing to play, you know, I don't listen to radio or to anything.
Me
But
neither.
sometimes I you know, in the boutique trying on clothes, I hear, you know, some of the metal music, and I must say that you know that I'm how can I say this without hurting anybody? But I must say that there's no depth. There's
Yeah,
just speed and meaningless shred.
yeah. That's what I always thought. So we are finishing. So as we always do with all the people we interview, I will ask you some personal questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is what was the first concert you attended as part of the audience?
What was the first? What?
The first concert you ever been?
Ah, that was with the Scorpions when I was 11 years old in a place called Ailsa, and they were a dance music, and I was a Hank Marvin a fan, and I, you know, copied all of the instrumental music of Hank
Yeah.
Marvin and the Shadows, and so my mother and my father, they took me, you know, Rudolph knew that that I developed, and that I had this great talent, and somehow I ended up in this place, with my parents, and ended up on stage, playing a couple of songs, instrumental music, which I was very good at because I loved it, and so that ironically, that was the first concert I ever did.
Yeah, that's right. And what was the first album you bought?
It must have been, that is a hard question, but I think the most memorable memory is Deep Purple in rock, because of Child in Time. Child in Time, there was the singer, my friend and I, we were hearing, I think on the radio, that singer who was singing so high, we couldn't believe how that was possible,
Yeah, it's insane.
and,
Yeah.
and so I said to him, let's put some money together and get this album. I didn't even have a record player. He had, and so we got it and listened to it. That's how I discovered the rest of Deep Purple, and I became a Deep Purple fan.
Yeah, that's a really nice album. And finally, who made you love heavy metal? I mean, which band made you love the heavy metal?
Which one made me love heavy metal?
Yeah.
I'm a Zeppelin fan, Black Sabbath fan, Deep Purple fan. I love the Immigrant Song.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, so thank you so much for having been here with us in this interview, in which I have had a great time.
Sorry, my alarm clock is on for the next interview. Okay, thank you. Keep on walking.
Okay, bye.
Rock and Block Friends, los podcasts de la casa del rock y el metal. Ya sabes que en Rock and Block somos rock.